Very quickly, let me ask you about Nvidia. They're going to be reporting their earnings next month. They're obviously, or next week. They've obviously had so many questions about what's going on post DeepSeek, whether there's going to be demand for their chips. But we did hear from all of the big majors, whether that be Amazon, Meta, Alphabet, any of them, looking at spending even more next time around this year for CapEx. Does that? How do you feel about the shares, given the pullback that we've seen in Nvidia shares as a result?
Sure, absolutely. You know, when DeepSeek came out, somebody compared it to the Sputnik moment. I think it has been kind of a Sputnik moment because the U.S. spending on defense and aerospace went up, 10, 20-fold in the decade following that Sputnik moment. So, since DeepSeek news came out, we have seen, I think, Becky, to your point, the U.S. hyperscalers raised their capex. What was supposed to be a 20% growth year is now over a 30% growth year, over $360 billion. We have seen Stargate being announced with $500 billion of spending over multiple years. And then last week, what I think probably went unnoticed is the intention of European customers to spend. The European Commission announced a 200 billion euro program. France announced a 109 billion euro program, all for investing in AI. So we think this is a long-term theme. When it comes to NVIDIA's earnings specifically, they are going through a product transition. There are China kind of restriction headwinds. So it's possible that the quarter they guide, might be a tad squishy, but we look forward. The stock is trading at the lower end of its valuation range. I think it is absolutely a leader in being able to benefit from a lot of this spending. So we would be buyers of NVIDIA. It's our top pick. But as I mentioned, that earnings are always a volatile time frame. But right after earnings, we think NVIDIA's GPU technology conference will help to put the positive momentum back.
During this artificial intelligence, AI boom, investors have been keenly following NVIDIA's tail. And with good cause. The business is the top creator of graphics processing units, GPUs, which are essential chips for the most important AI operations, such as model training and inferencing. This has enabled NVIDIA to achieve other significant milestones and consistently generate double- and triple-digit revenue growth, reaching record levels in recent years. For instance, NVIDIA was invited to join the esteemed Dow Jones Industrial Average last year, and in 2024 the company outperformed all other equities in the benchmark. Investors naturally pay close attention to everything NVIDIA executives say during the company's reports and presentations in light of all of this. One of these significant events is now only a few days away. In fact, I believe that the most significant day for Nvidia stock to date will be February 26th, when the company releases its fourth quarter and fiscal 2025 earnings. Here's why. Let's first briefly discuss the Nvidia tale thus far. As previously said, with almost 80% of the market, the business has emerged as the leader in AI chips. Nvidia's AI efforts, however, don't end here. From software to networking, this industry titan has developed a whole ecosystem of AI goods and services. It has even developed platforms specifically designed to meet the demands of particular sectors, such as autonomous cars and healthcare. NVIDIA just revealed plans that work with NVIDIA Enterprise software to assist users in creating artificial intelligence agents. Thus, as AI is used to solve practical issues, NVIDIA is positioning itself to gain from this next wave of growth. Let's now examine the significance of February 26. Every quarter, NVIDIA releases its profits, but this one could be particularly significant for the business because it coincides with the release of Blackwell, the company's most potent AI architecture to yet. So, what implications does this have for NVIDIA's stock? Let's explore that. But first, a big thank you to those of you who've stuck with us this far. Creating these videos takes significant effort and dedication, so if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts on NVIDIA stock in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow. Now, let's get back to the video.
Well, look, I think that there are a lot of people recognizing there was a panic, and the panic was frankly from out of China and whether they've passed us. It was very reminiscent to the Sputnik period in our country. Have the Russians passed us? And
you're talking about DeepSeek. Of course, this is weeks ago at this point, but the reaction, particularly in Nvidia stock and in many of the power suppliers, which I think continues to be a question. I would say that
a lot of people are saying, look, right now it's still good. A lot of people are saying, when I was with a lot of CEOs, look, if Meta if Alphabet, if Amazon are still committed to NVIDIA, then there was no surprise.
Right.
I believe that. I think that there are another wave of thought, which is actually good for NVIDIA because it gets more people on board. Not sure if I agree with that, but it is a cheap way to get on board, and then you do need training, real training. I think the excitement part is video. Video means robotics. That's the next leg for
NVIDIA. You feel like that's the next leg.
Because over and over again, when you're even GTC last year, the big conference that Jensen runs, that was all about how Blackwell will help video. And video allows a robot to learn how to do things. Now, video, David, is when he keeps saying anything you can do, they can do better physically.
Right.
But they need to see the videos. Now they can. And I think that that's a big step up. And it's not something that DeepSeek could possibly imitate. They're nowhere like that.
No, and as this year moves along, we're going to be monitoring so many different things when it comes to the developments in AI, particularly, as you say, sort of in robotics and what advances are being made there and what's going to happen.
But look, I'm trying to avoid the political.
Yeah. Well, there's so much going on.
But that's all.
And it's a lot to tackle for any management team, particularly if you're in the line of sight of things involving tech.
It will be crucial to see how the Blackwell launch went and how this affected the earnings picture, because innovation is what could keep NVIDIA ahead of competitors. As the fourth quarter was just getting started, NVIDIA stated in the prior quarterly report that Blackwell demand was staggering, which comes after the firm had previously stated that demand was outpacing supply. Indeed, in this first quarter of commercialization, NVIDIA stated that it anticipated generating several $billion in revenue from Blackwell. Additionally, remarks regarding profitability were favorable. Although Blackwell's high degree of customization makes it a challenging product to launch and will raise expenses, NVIDIA still anticipates a gross margin of more than 70%. For a business that is making significant growth investments, this is an exceptionally high degree of profitability. Investors will now be watching to see if NVIDIA's Blackwell launch went according to plan. This might be a very good indicator for NVIDIA both now and in the future if it did, or even if it surprised in a good way. It would demonstrate that the business can fulfill its commitments to innovate, and that these developments have the potential to significantly accelerate growth. To stay informed about the latest developments from NVIDIA and the ever-changing stock market, consider subscribing to our investing tutorial channel. We provide daily updates on significant market shifts and key catalysts, so hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss crucial information. We'd love to hear your thoughts on NVIDIA stock, so please share your opinions in the comments below. Now, let's dive into today's video.
NVIDIA looks at all this and says, yeah, keep coming with your new models, because we need to just sell even more chips.
Exactly. If I'm going to thread a theme, you had Steve that say basically they all do the same thing. You had Kate mention commoditization, but the commonality between all of this is the foundation is NVIDIA, and that means that NVIDIA is going to continue to do well when it comes to demand. Well, we know from the Grok 3 that it was trained on 200,000 H100s. That's double the original 100,000 they talked about last year, which shows, hey, we need even more chips to compete at the top level, which would further drive CapEx for a lot of other companies. The second major point, too, is that all of Grok 3 was trained on Hopper chips, which is, I guess, the current iteration, the one that people could actually get their hands on. It's not trained on Blackwell, which could further drive upgrades in the near future. And we're going to hear about that next week with NVIDIA's earnings. And then the third point is just this was all built in 92 days, right? So Elon Musk said it was the largest liquid cooling cluster of GPUs out there. If they're able to do that, get their hands on all the chips in 92 days, that bodes well for NVIDIA demand to remain consistent and not have these air pockets or moments of transition between quarters that some people are worried about.
Yeah, we'll see what they deliver. But a week from today, expectations, I guess, are going to be high again, right? Because the stock has been ramping into the print yet again.
Yeah, it's actually above, well, it was above that 140 level when you had DeepSeek, I'm calling it the freakout in January. But the major concern also for NVIDIA that we have to mention is these export controls, any incoming restrictions coming from the Trump administration, if there's any retaliation on China's side, that could impact NVIDIA. So that's an overhang. And then it's the supply issues that with Blackwell, there's so much demand, but there's still some issues. There have been rumors of issues of the advanced packaging that goes onto those chips, and so perhaps that's delayed the increase in revenues to the following quarter. But it's still, demand's still there. That theory, that thesis, that story for NVIDIA hasn't changed.
So now to the AI market, which has been a big part of what's driven many of the mega caps, certainly NVIDIA now. What do you think is holding that story up as we look ahead to NVIDIA earnings next week? I mean, the mega caps have kind of been passing the baton between them. Even though there's been some broadening, it's not like those big guys have given up the ghost.
Well, but again, the bigger picture is every single day there's a new headline with regard to a new AI startup. And in the final analysis is if you think about the internet revolution, two things went on. As it became clear that it became more important in terms of people's everyday lives, you had this sort of multiplier effect to the use of it, to the business applications. And we're in the stage now where corporate America knows that they have to engage in AI because it is part of people's everyday life. And the DeepSeek news tells you that the demand is going to rise and that things are going to happen at an all-in cheaper price. And that
Does this imply that NVIDIA will either succeed or fail on February 26th? Not always. It's crucial to remember that despite investors' desire for a near-perfect product launch, any possible setbacks wouldn't alter NVIDIA's long-term development trajectory or its capacity to outperform competitors because of its emphasis on innovation. Therefore, it wouldn't be disastrous for NVIDIA if the launch had a slightly higher gross margin than anticipated, for instance. While each quarter is significant, performance over several quarters is what matters most. Since NVIDIA has so far produced outstanding long-term results, investors should consider the wider picture rather than concentrating too much on the here and now. However, given the company's recent remarks, I have hope for February 26th. And because of the Blackwell rollout, I believe that today might be the most significant day for NVIDIA to date, and that it might cause the stock to jump. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.